police have effectively given up policing in certain areas of Britain. This story comes just after Glasgow says that it expects now for there to be problems on the street in between the asylum seekers that have come to Britain and the ordinary indigenous British people that lived there. This is turning into a crescendo. This is turning into a disaster. And I believe that now we're getting increasingly close to the moment that pressure cooker finally blows its top. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, please donate to the Patriot Fund. We are going out and about trying to stop two-tier policing, trying to prevent our country coming under attack in the way that it's being attacked by politicians and police leaders alike. Well, the other day I reported that finally the Scottish National Party were admitting that uncontrolled immigration was causing problems. They were suggesting that actually, just like Enoch Powell said, there would be all sorts of problems on the street. I can't use the V word at the beginning of the video, otherwise people get angry at YouTube. But there will be issues on the street. That is to say that what we've now started to see is the way that our country has been taken over by other cultures. I genuinely believe that there's no problem, particularly with small-scale immigration, but it's the way that waves of people have come over and effectively set up their own ethnic enclaves. And it's ethnic enclaves that I want to talk a little bit about today, because when we talk about no-go areas, let me talk about in Tower Hamlets, where they have signs up saying no miniskirts, no un-Islamic dress, and no dogs, which is admittedly a step up from the East End in the 1970s, which some of you will remember. But effectively, people in those areas are not bad people. Can't believe that Andre said that. Look, they have been brought over to Britain and they've been told that assimilation is not their duty. They've been told that anyone who asks them to speak English is racist. And they've been told that effectively their culture is better than indigenous British culture and that we are benefiting from them turning our country into little Pakistan. And if we're told that, then why would you not believe it? Why would somebody who's come over from Pakistan say, oh my God, no, 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 you're wrong, Pakistani culture is rubbish, British culture is far better? Why would you say that to the liberal white apologists who are telling you to enact Pakistani culture? And so you're telling people that you're benefiting from these enclaves. So what do the police do? Well, let's be really clear on this situation with policing. They're effectively, oh God, it's become so confused now. So there's two-tier policing, which I will talk about, but there's also traffic light policing. So traffic light policing, just to start with, works like this. Every zone in the United Kingdom is given a colour, green, amber or red. If you live in a green zone like I do, police will not bother patrolling at all. They'll have a response unit, perhaps, say for the whole of the Royal Borough of Windsor Maidenhead, 8 police officers will be on duty at any one time, and those will be the people who'll be on call for 999. Beyond that, there will be no police. Obviously, there'll be investigators, detectives, and all those sorts of people, the people doing what I would call the fun stuff. So, you've got that. Amber is where the police are considering taking action, and red is where all the resources are put. So obviously, if you're a taxpayer for the Thames Valley Police, you should expect that the police that you've paid for will be in Oxford and Reading and Slough, and particularly Slough around here. And I think anybody who didn't believe that, if you watch late night TV, Road Wars, Pinky and Perky are driving around Slough. And it was always driving around Slough, wasn't it? They were never driving around anywhere else, from what I could see in that programme. But let's put aside the traffic light system, which is where you're being ripped off as a taxpayer. And now let's talk about the two-tier system. So, police nowadays believe in community policing. What that is to say that what they do is that they send in their senior officers to talk to community leaders. Now, those community leaders effectively will always be ethnic minorities. The reason is because, you know, how many of you who are white, how many of you who have 4 grandparents born in the United Kingdom have a community leader or a tribal elder in order to lead on your behalf? Funnily enough, we used to have them. They were called hereditary peers. Leaders of your tribe were put into the House of Lords. But I think it's fair to say that has long since disappeared. So now, when they consult people about community policing, they will consult the Asian community, they will consult the Pakistani community, they will consult the Chinese community, not that they're particularly interested, but they won't consult the ordinary indigenous white people. And that is at the heart of it, two-tier policing. And so we're not allowed to complain about things like something that I did recently. I put in a freedom of information request to the Metropolitan Police asking why homophobic hate crime was going down in the capital but going up in East London. What was it specifically about East London? Now, of course, we all know what it is. We know that it is now predominantly Muslim area. And that is the reason why homophobic hate crime has increased. Not to say that every Muslim is committing a homophobic hate crime. That would be grossly unfair. But we know that, there are a percentage of people who will do that, and that percentage is higher than in the general population, largely because they've been told not to bother assimilating. Do you know, just aside, 80% of Syrian refugees believe that gay people should receive the death penalty, refugees to Britain, but 60% believe that it should only be if there's been a proper court case. Well, thank you very much. Well done for that. When people say, you can't allow them to die in Syria, I could. Anyway, so, of course, I then asked, what is it about East London? The Metropolitan Police said, we don't know why homophobic hate crime is increasing in East London but nowhere else. And then I said, do you know the religion or race of the people that have been suspected? They said, we don't record any of that in a format that's easy to give you. And I said, okay, of the people arrested, how many had the name Mohammed in their name? And they said, this request is vexatious and we're never going to speak to you again. Amazing, really, because, of course, they have answers to all of these. They do have documents that say that it's uncontrolled immigration that is causing this. But equally, when we look at Rotherham, for years and years and years, that is effectively the no-go area. That is to say that we won't stop Pakistani drug dealers on the grounds it would be racist to stop them R-ing our children. It would be racist to stop SA against our children. Our children are... The lives of our children are a price worth paying for a multicultural society. And so we'll see it now in Glasgow, where these problems that we've seen with young men marauding around the streets, looking for young girls, looking for people that they can R and SA, looking for people that they can rob, using the latest phones, even though apparently they're destitute in their own country, leaving the women and children behind, because obviously if there's a war, the number one thing you want to do is send your blokes over to Britain and leave the women and children to fight the war on their own. P.S. The war doesn't really exist, in Albania at least. But of course, the police now won't take any action against these people who are attempting to take over our communities, and they won't worry about our community. That is the great danger of modern British policing. British police are interested principally in detective work, in investigating you and me and spying on us to find out that we're not doing anything to offend the sensibility of the College of Policing or indeed their political paymasters. Particularly bad, by the way, in Scotland, where all of the police have been merged together into a body called Police Scotland, which is heavily, heavily politically influenced by the Scottish National Party. Anyway, two-tier policing is a real danger, and now the fact that police are surrendering is something that is going to become a major problem. I have a simple solution. I believe the right to bear arms should be brought in the United Kingdom, because what is ludicrous in this country is that the police will not protect my family, but the police also object to my family carrying guns when they're out on the street. I find that a ludicrous proposition. Anyway, we are campaigning for a better society. Please do donate to the Patriot Fund. Until next time, goodbye.